Well, hello, my friends. Welcome to the Artist Next Level podcast. Once again, I'm here, and today I have some really a really good conversation I want to bring to you, my friends. And we're going to talk about NFTs. You have heard me talking about this before, in the past, and well, it's that time again to talk about NFTs. And today I have with me Richard Pagan. He's a blockchain developer, and Laura Barham. She is an artist and photographer. And with the three of us, we're going to interact talking about what NFTs are, just a quick review on that, how they benefiting artists, and what's happening right now in the NFT space. So don't go anywhere. It's going to be really awesome.
Resources, inspiring interviews, business practices, and practical advice to take your art career to the next level. Join Sergio Gomez in today's Artist Next Level and get ready to take control of your career.
Well, all right, my friends. So super happy for today's episode. My two guests that I have with me, Laura and Richard, they have become good friends of mine. And it's really interesting because when I delve into NFTs, and as you guys, maybe you remember, if you go back, quite a few episodes before early into the year, I started really going hard into NFTs as well. And it was one of those days in which I was in an NFT space inside of Twitter. And all of a sudden, I met Laura and Richard, and then we started chatting in Messenger. And before we know it, we were all actually here in Chicago. Both of them, they had already been collaborating and working together. But to my surprise, they were here in Chicago. So then we eventually had to actually meet in person, which was great. Not every day you get to meet people that you connect with in NFT space in person. And we actually had an opportunity to do that. They came to the gallery. We had a great conversation, and then that has led also to some other great collaborations we will be telling you more about today as well. But first of all, I want to say hi, Laura. How are you today? Welcome.
Hi, thank you for having us. I'm great, and I'm so happy to be here
Excellent.
and discuss NFTs.
Exactly. No, super happy to have you. And hi, Richard. How are you?
I'm good, Sergio. Thank you. Thank you very much for having us. I'm always up for a conversation on NFTs. Very eager to share what we know and share how artists can tap into this digital revolution.
Absolutely. And I think you said it right, digital revolution. I love that. I think that's a great way to kind of start this conversation. Well, let's start with kind of like from the beginning, right? What is an NFT? I have done a number of episodes about NFTs you can review, and we go to the basics. But just to, again, if you are just catching this podcast and you haven't heard any of the previous episodes before, really quickly, Richard, help us out. What is an NFT?
So when I talk about NFTs, I come from the blockchain world, right? So that's, a blockchain, we'll start there and we'll lead to NFTs. Blockchains, think of it like the cloud, right? The cloud is where people's programs and data live. And there's a real smart guy named Satoshi Nakamoto about 14, 15 years ago. He thought of a new way to approach how we handle data, how we communicate with it, and how we decide what's legitimate and how to verify truth, right? How to verify legitimacy in a data transfer, in a transaction, right? Mm-hmm. So he invented this thing. You might have heard of it. It's called Bitcoin, right? And Bitcoin, it has this big database that stores a bunch of financial transactions in it. Who has what amount of currency, times and dates and terms under which people move money around, right? Mm-hmm. So there were people out there that were like, okay, we love this idea of a big distributed database that's hard to hack, that's accessible and open to everybody, that's more cost effective than what exists today. But we want to expand on it a little bit, right? So what they did is they took this ledger, right, that traditionally just held financial transactions, and then they started putting more complex agreements and more complex ideas into it, right? One of those being NFTs. So the word NFT means non-fungible token, right? And that's a lot to unpack there. Mm-hmm. Non-fungible meaning unique, right? So this could mean it is unique in terms of a piece of art that is an NFT that only one of exists. It could be unique as in an identity, like an ID card that there's only one of me, so there's only one of my ID, right? It could even be unique in terms of like a loan agreement, that there's only one loan agreement on a home that lives on this distributed cloud database, right? So what an NFT, and the T part stands for token, right? So token meaning that is just a unit, right? And this could be a unit representing any sort of either digital or physical assets that is unique, right? So like the things I described. So what it really boils down to is it's this new way to track ownership and engagement and contracts when it comes to assets. It's this new digital way to wrap up the financial agreement side of assets with the ownership and licensing and usage of those assets, and put it in a place that is hard to hack, it's resilient to outages, and is a fraction of the cost of some of the traditional ways to track ownership, payment, and usage.
No, that's great. Well, Richard, I have to say that's probably the best definition of NFTs I've ever heard. I really like it. And I've heard a lot of them. I think that's really good. I think you put it really in plain, simple terms that all friends and everyone listening can understand if this is your kind of first time or you're kind of early on this NFT conversation. But something that I love is, as I got myself into it and started to, creating art for the NFT space and such, it was that, the artist community who were early adapters, into the NFT space, they saw the opportunity, right? They saw the opportunity that this brought in. They saw the opportunity of, again, as Richard said, to make or work and put it in a way that it becomes part of the blockchain and certifies, who owns what, and then when it exchanges hands to who, and, be able to keep track of that. And we're going to talk about, some of those kind of benefits of it. But I found that, artists who were already in the space when I joined in, they were very welcoming, and they were very, very excited with the things that they were doing and the possibilities that were ahead of that. And that is also something that why I also really like to have Laura here in the conversation, because she is an artist, a photographer who has been also involved in blockchain technology, NFTs for quite a bit. So Laura, tell us a little bit about kind of your own experience. Why did you decide to jump into the NFT space as an artist photographer?
It's funny because going back on what you said, once you enter the NFT community, usually you enter as a new avenue to make revenue and to expand. But then once you get into the community and you meet the community, you stay for the community.
That's right.
The people in the community are just amazing. And it feels like you can really make a change when you're in those spaces. I have joined, Richard introduced me to NFTs. I knew a little bit about NFTs, but I was like, I'm not sure how I can really put my photos and convert them to NFTs and what to do about that, because I'm in a really niche branch of photography. So it was also during the pandemic where it was a little bit slow. So I got the opportunity to learn more about NFTs and what they do. And when I heard that it's a way to reinforce the copyright on it without actually going through all the legalities of it, I was sold on it. And I think it also it helped me expand myself as an artist, because it let me branch out from what I was usually shooting into more creative ways as an artist. So it brought a lot of joy to my life and kind of reawakened the creative genius.
I love that. That's awesome. And you touched on something that is super important, right? The community, which is one of the big benefits of the NFT space. So there's a technical side of things, right, where Richard was talking about the benefits of being part of that, but then there's also this other benefit, which is the connections, the networking that happens, within the community. As you start getting into it and chatting with people, I found, most, not everybody, of course, but most people to be quite open to conversations, to chatting, to, that's kind of how we both, all the three of us, how we got connected, is through those conversations and discovering people from all around the world, who are doing amazing different things, right? Some people are developers creating new programs, creating new ways of doing something within the blockchain. You meet architects, designers, musicians, photographers, painters. I mean, you name it. It's the gamut is wide and long of people who are slowly, paying attention to this new technology, because all technologies evolve and change. And I think all of us, who are creators, who are artists, we have all seen the headlines, last year, like, when the NFTs got really hot, and then, the huge sales of NFTs running for millions of dollars and things like that. So that got a lot of attention to a lot of people to say, hey, wait a minute, what is this? What's going on? And, as that has also been evolving and changing, new marketplaces have spurred, all across the different blockchains as well. So all these kind of different things that have been evolving and happening. And I would like to kind of bring us also to the present, because as we continue to look at the blockchain right now, what a lot of people have seen on the news is, also the evolution of the currencies and how, they have lost a lot of value and now they're starting to pick up again. Richard, can you kind of give us a little bit of, where are we right now in terms of, this cryptocurrency world right now that drives the NFT space?
Absolutely. These market fluctuations, they do happen, right? And we've seen this in traditional markets too. We've seen and I like to always go back to something like the dot-com bubble burst, right? In the late 90s. So just because the dot-com bubble burst and most of the companies that weren't really building much dispersed, they disappeared, right? But look at what rose from it. We've gotten the Ubers, the Airbnbs, the DoorDashes, the Amazon clouds. So it's really a matter of who, if we subtract the finance side of it and we look at, well, what's the technology actually doing for artists, right? We're seeing things like Snoop Dogg and Eminem, they're releasing songs and albums in NFT formats to kind of get better control of their property rights, their monetization, right? We've got brands like Nike and Adidas engaging with customers in new ways, building these digital assets, right? And this can be clothing in a video game or a metaverse, right? This can be a collectible that's redeemable for a real world asset, like a real pair of shoes or article of, memorabilia. This is something where, despite all of these market fluctuations, the key players in the industry, big and small, who see that this tech is liberating, that it's empowering to artists, that it is more efficient, right? They are continuing to build on this technology. And I feel like something that the dot-com bubble bursting did not have that NFTs do have is that community you were mentioning, right? I mean, look at how many bridges it's built. We barely met, last year, and it turned into this full-fledged collaboration,
right,
to start to expand on Chicago's NFT presence as a whole, right? This global meshing of artists and technologies, it's been going on for a long time. Look at things.
right.
I feel like artists have been heralds of new technology for a long time. Look at how sound mixing and pedals and electric instruments have been kind of pushed to new bounds and extremes by artists, right? Starting in the rock and roll era. It kind of led to this whole generation of musicians that were also very tech savvy, right? More tech savvy than most when it comes to production, when it comes to mixing, etc. When you look at things like how far drawing tablets have gone, and I'd be willing to bet, and I'd be willing to say here that a lot of the virtual reality potentials that have been made are mainly thanks to artists, right? Mainly thanks to
Right.
3D designers, to people, to the creatives that could see this world, this 3D world imagined, and the technical people give them the marble block out of which they could make these 3D wonders, right? So I feel like even though we're seeing turbulence, right, which is kind of happening on a bigger scale too. It's, you know, it's kind of a global thing on every market, but
Right.
it's just a matter of seeing the technology for what the technology can actually do and realizing, okay, despite what's happening dollar value, there are still artists making lots of money. You know, there was a crypto punk that just sold for a couple $1 million the other day. Even in this quote unquote bear market, the money is still flowing, and it's flowing to NFTs from a corporate side as well as, you know, people trading amongst each other. So don't let the market activity fool you when it comes to how revolutionary this tech can be, how much growth potential there is in this sector.
Yeah, I love that, absolutely. And especially, you know, even though the market values, you know, change by the day, by the hour, by the minute, you know, still the technology is there, and the benefits that the technology brings are so important. One of the reasons why as an artist decided to jump in is because I wanted my art to be part of that technology and be part of, you know, the blockchain and what it brings, and, you know, having my name now being also associated with my work on this technology that is here to stay. You know, it's not something that just came and went, but it's actually here to stay, continues to evolve, continues to get better as well. And it will continue evolving. A lot of people, you know, kind of read the headlines back in the day where like, oh, you know, NFTs are bad for the environment, or NFTs are too expensive, or NFTs, you know, all these kind of headlines that, you know, without doing the research, you know, you just kind of take them as the truth, you know, of all things. And but when you start going further, when you're starting digging in, when you're starting to really understand the technology, then you see all the different things that are happening, all the different ways in which the technology is benefiting, how it's evolving too to become also cleaner, you know, all those things. It's like think about the car, right? The cars, how cars have evolved over the last 50 years, you know, huge, right? And all technology, cell phones, you know, just think about the first iPhone to the latest iPhone, you know, all technologies evolve, change, get better, get cleaner, and get more user friendly for all of us. So that's what, you know, something that I'm super excited about, and thanks Richard kind of for bringing us here to the present on the importance of that. Even though with these market fluctuations, I believe, I don't know what you think, Laura, but I believe like for artists right now, it's a great time to also get into it, understand it, learn it, before the next wave comes in and everybody jumps in again, and creating all this big buzz once again. You know, being ready, getting ready, and being part of it, I think, is super important.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's like we are still at the early beginnings of NFTs. And I think is the technology of the future and what our children will grow up into. So we're just setting the foundation for it. But I see it in my children. They're already playing games where they're buying virtual clothing, and we're spending a lot of money on that.
Yeah.
But that's where I see the world going. We will be able to have a completely redesigned world, and being part of that redesign now and stepping into it at the beginning is just it's gonna benefit everyone moving forward. As an artist, being at the beginning of a revolution, and learning all the tools that you need for when it comes down to the masses, it's extremely important.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
totally.
Beneficial.
Yeah, no, totally. And I think, you know, as we look at, you know, you talk about the future, I think a future that's just about here now too, and we will continue to evolve. Is also this idea as we think about NFTs in the future. Also, we had to also think about Web3, right? The evolution of Web3. Richard, can you give us just a quick just description? How would you describe Web3 to our friends who might hear, as they hear about NFTs, they also hear that we're getting ready for Web3. What is that?
That's an excellent question. These terms are thrown around a lot, and it's good to have them unpacked in a really digestible way. So, and somebody smarter than me made this analogy up, but the best way to think about Web3, Web 1 was just you read data, right? Now, this is data either hosted by some, institution. Back when the internet first came out, it was universities, right? And then it kind of slowly went to, governments and corporations and et cetera. So Web 1 was just you read, right? You download stuff from the internet. And Web 2 is read write, right? This is the era where MySpace and things like PayPal, right? Where you can put data out there and make it do something, right? You could send money, you could send messages, send emails, share things amongst each other, right? And Web 3 is read, write, own. So this kind of pulls into the internet this big record of like, okay, well, yeah, a lot of stuff is sent back and forth, but Web3 kind of brings scarcity into the internet as far as like amounts of data, amounts of currency, amounts of ownership, right? Amounts of ownership, like who can own this and how much of it is owned by somebody. So Web3 is like you bring in ownership into this internet that has payments, that has data sharing. I think that's a good way to think about it.
Yeah, no, I love it. I think that's perfect. And again, the evolution of the web too, right? As we said, all the technologies evolve and change, and this is now we are living into the next evolution of what the web and how we interact, how we connect with each other. So, I think brings us to this period in time in which I think for us as artists, as creatives, is the perfect time to understand, to learn, to take the first steps, right? To not be left behind, but to feel like we are moving forward, that we're understanding how the world is changing, how it's happening, and what the things are happening that will, at the end of the day, benefit our career, right? There are things or technologies that evolve, but they just, time wasters, right? Or entertainment or so. But these are things that will have a huge effect in our career, can have a great effect on also how we manage our assets in the future. So I think it makes total sense to, as you have heard the three of us talk about this, learn and be part of what's happening there. And one of the very cool things, I think that was Richard who mentioned, is that, because of our connection, the three of us and our conversations that we had, we decided to, do something about it, right? Not only just talk about these things, but how could we help other artists? How could we help other creatives who may be in Chicago, and also those who may be on other parts of the world, but that want to get really 100% into the NFT and figure out how it is, how it works, how they can be part of it. So we have actually created something that's called the NFT Discovery Masterclass for Artists, which I'm super excited because, we have worked really hard on this. And the NFT Discovery Masterclass for Artists, what it does is the three of us presenting, talking about what NFTs are, how they work, how they can benefit you, what are some of the strategies that you can use as well for being able to be part of it and, mint your first NFT and be super excited about it and connect with that community, as Laura said at the beginning. And we are super excited because now our class is live and you can find it online at the nftmasterclass.art, which we are very, very excited for. And I want to ask Richard, maybe on this one, what is one of the favorite things that, or from your experience of being part of this NFT Discovery Masterclass for Artists, that you find that artists will discover if they take the course?
You know what? I love the fact that we can share what we've worked together to bring, because you bring this very traditional art mindset and skill set to the equation, Sergio. And Laura, you bring this like new generation of like digital art with your photography and with your light paintings and things like that, and a business mindset to it. And combining that with some of my technical know-how, we really got to have a comprehensive all-around approach to how to get into NFTs, right? Like I know of artists that they've tried the traditional, I'm going to Google search, I'm going to watch YouTube videos approach. And it could take some of them months to catch up, right? And that's to catch up to like a fundamentals level, right? What I love is that we give a little of this and a little of that, and it's enough for somebody to have a very strong foundation. You save months of time and risk jumping into the space by coming in and seeing something that will get you caught up to speed. You know, it saves people from a lot of the pitfalls and the mistakes and the misconceptions that can come with coming into the space. You know, it's one of my favorite parts is that we kind of address some of the worries of the industry, right? You mentioned earlier that ecological impact that the news really carried around town against NFTs, right? And we talk about that in our class, and we talk about how there's solutions that are still powered by a blockchain, right? You can still have an NFT, but sometimes and with certain techniques, you can make an NFT that takes less fuel resources, less ecological impact than a couple Google searches. And that's massive, right? When we think about traditional art and all of the middlemen, like the brokers and the lawyers and the payment processors and all that, if that's 10 people that have to drive to an office in their car, right? Let's assume a couple of them have an electric vehicle, but that's still a huge ecological impact when it comes to how much it takes to enforce a contract to transfer ownership of a piece of art, then compared to registering and transferring an NFT, which in some cases can cost pennies, right? Which is another thing. I love that we got to talk a little bit about people worry about how much it costs in transaction fees. People worry about the ecological impact that they've been told by these media outlets, which, by the way, those media outlets are partnered with other corporations and enterprises that are very deep into NFTs right now and getting into the industry. We take those and we not only educate people, but we kind of soothe their worries and explain to them, hey, it's not necessarily true. And here's ways you as an artist can preserve the environment, preserve costs on your side, and still get all the benefits that NFTs have to bring.
Okay. Yeah, absolutely. And I think you have explained it perfectly. And that is a great way to, to really celebrate this new class, NFT Discovery Masterclass for Artists, because that's what it's all about, right? Kind of dispelling some of those myths, educating artists into what really is the benefit, how it works, and then also showing in a practical way how it all works. From Laura, whose experience as a photographer, using the medium, for me as experience in the traditional space as a painter, and you, Richard, which if you have been listening to the podcast, has a really great way of explaining complex things in a way that we can all understand when it comes to technology. So we're super proud about it. We're super excited about this. And then, so this you can already find online at nftmasterclass.art. You can go there, check it out, sign up for it, take the course, an online course. You can take it at your pace. Nobody's going to be hurrying you up, like hurry. You can do it at your pace and go through it. And also something that we are doing, which we are excited, is that for those of our friends who are here in Chicago area, we're going to be doing a really cool in-person NFT masterclass that happens on August 6th. So put it in your calendars. We're still about 2 weeks away from it, but it's a great way to invest a whole, Saturday working with us, and the three of us will be there. We will be, talking about NFTs, walking you through the process. You will bring your digital art or images of your work. By the time you leave the session, you will have your first NFT minted, if that's what you want to do. And that is going to be awesome. So, the benefit of being there in person is that you can ask us questions, we can interact with you, we can show you, click here, click there, depends on what you may be working on. And it's going to be super awesome. So I'm very excited for that. And I think it's gonna be great. So, Laura, tell us how excited are you about the in-person event?
Oh, I'm super excited. Like, I'm looking forward to it, and looking forward to meeting new people that are interested in diving into this new adventure.
Absolutely. Then you just said it's a brand new adventure. We call it the NFT journey that we are all in, and that we inviting you also to be part of it. So I think, my friends, with this, we're going to wrap up today's session. We're going to wrap today's episode, inviting you to go check it out, nftmasterclass.art. But also I want to invite my guests, Richard and Laura, to tell us where we can find them. Also on Twitter, particularly, that's where the NFT community kind of gathers. So Laura, if you can tell us, where we can find you on Twitter and also on Instagram, that would be awesome.
Chicago NFT Photography. And my handle is Chicago NFT Photo.
Awesome.
That's where I am on Twitter and Instagram.
That is cool. How about for you, Richard? Where can our friends find you?
You can find me, and Laura helps with this account too. You can find us at the NFT DAO on Instagram and Twitter. And please feel free to reach out. We built this up by being open and helpful and engaging with everybody who's eager to be a pioneer in this tech shift happening. So we're going to be pleased to hear from you. Please reach out.
Absolutely. And we didn't have time to talk about this, but maybe in another episode we can talk about also the mirror towers and the things that you created with that, which was kind of also very exciting. And you had a pleasure to participate with you guys on that too. That's topic for another conversation.
Absolutely. It could be in the metaverse episode and the level 2 class with the metaverse for the Discovery Masterclass.
Exactly. Yeah, we didn't even touch on the metaverse. So exactly. You guys had to go back and we can talk about the metaverse and how is that changing also, how we interact with each other in the future of the metaverse. I think that's pretty exciting. So thank you, my friends. Thank you, Laura. Thank you, Richard. Thank you for those of you guys. As you listen to this podcast, thank you for giving us company. Do us a big favor. Share this episode with all your friends. If you have another artist or the creative friend that has been talking about, curious about NFT, send them this episode. I think it will be very valuable for them, the things that we cover here, as well as the information that we have to share with you as well. So have a great rest of your day, my friend, and I will see you in the next level.
Check out our website at www.theartistnextlevel.com, where you will find our podcast library, learn about our upcoming webinars, find resources relevant to your career, and much more. Thanks for listening to today's podcast, and we'll see you at the next level.